Welcome back. In this session, we'll create a Spark pool and I'll take you through the process. Let's switch over to the Synapse Studio and get started. There are a few ways to create the Spark pool. If you want to do it programmatically, you can use the Azure PowerShell or the .NET SDK. If you want to do it using the graphical user interface, you can either use the Synapse Studio and Azure Portal. I'm going to show you the Synapse Studio and the Azure Portal in this lesson. So here we are in the Synapse Studio. In order to create the Spark pool, you come over to the Manage Hub here and then you can click on Spark Pools and then click on New. And that gives you this wizard that you can go through to create the Spark pool. As I said, the other option is to do it from the Azure Portal. So in the Azure Portal, I've opened up the Synapse's workspace here on the left-hand side. You come over Apache Spark Pools and then Analytics Pools and click New again. You see the same wizard that you saw with the Synapse Studio, and you just complete the wizard to create the Spark pool. So let's use this one to create Spark pool. Let's start by giving a name for our pool. So I'm going to call mine as Learn Spark Pool. I can see there are some restrictions on what you can use. The main things are it has to be only up to 15 characters long, so you can't have very long names. And also it has to be only letters and numbers. And the next thing you've got is the node size family. So I'm only seeing memory optimized here, but I know that Microsoft have recently introduced a GPU accelerated node size as well, which is only available on certain regions, and also it's only in public preview at the moment. So it's not in general availability. So I'm not seeing it in my subscription, but you may see it when you come to do it. But at the moment, the only available option is memory optimized. So I'm going to go with that. And the next thing we've got is the node size. So unlike the VM size as we see, which is a huge array of VMs that we can choose from here, Microsoft have simplified it and we've got the T-shirt sizes of small, medium, large, extra large, and Excel based on what you choose. Microsoft will choose the VM behind the scenes for you. Because we've chosen memory optimized to a node size family, the VM will be a memory optimized virtual machine as well behind the scenes. I'm going to go for the small size with 4 because and 32 gigabytes. And the next thing is autoscale. This is an important feature. So what you can do is you can specify the minimum number of nodes and the maximum number of nodes your Spark pool and Synapse scale to your pool depending on your workload. What that means is when it starts up, it'll start with the minimum number of nodes and then depending on your workload, it'll just add the additional nodes as and when they are required. So that way you save costs so you don't have to allocate a huge number of virtual machines and you can allocate the minimum number that's required for your workload. And if the data volume is higher or if your workload is heavy, then it will scale depending on the need. For our purposes for the course, we don't need 10 nodes. We need the minimum number of nodes, which is 3. So unlike Databricks, which lets you have a single node cluster, Synapse Spark pools don't let you have a single node cluster at the moment, and that is at least 3 nodes. What you get is 1 head node and 2 worker nodes. So that's the minimum you can go for because our minimum and the maximum are the same here. There's no point in having the output scale enabled because there is nothing to scale. So you may as well just go for the disabled and you can have the minimum amount of nodes here, which is 3. The next option here lets you set the spot configuration parameter to enable dynamic allocation of the executables. We can leave that as disabled for the course. And that's everything here. And the next thing you see is the estimated price. As you're seeing, the price for me is this much. That's because Microsoft's running a promotion up to the end of the month to encourage everyone to use an apps. But when you come to do the course, you're going to see a value here. And that's not going to be huge, but that will be significant. So you need to bear that in mind. So let me show you the pricing portal here. As you can see here, the memory optimized node family, you will be paying $0.143 per core per hour because we are going to have 3 nodes with 4 cores. That's going to be 12 cores. It may be different when you come to do it, but that's kind of how you want to calculate it, and please bear that in mind. So let me go back to the wizard here. Let me click on next to 4 additional settings. And the settings here is very important, and the value 15 here tells us that the Spark pool will be shut down after 15 minutes of inactivity. For example, you've had a Spark session or a notebook running on the Spark pool and that shut down 15 minutes ago. Now, the Spark pool will shut down as well, which is really good when you want to save money because you don't want this Spark pool to be up and running, being charged while it's not being used. Because unlike the serverless SQL pool, this is not pay-per-use. If the Spark pool is up and running, you are going to be charged for that. So you want the Spark pool to be shut down so you could keep the value as many of them as possible. The lowest value possible is 5 minutes, so you can go for 5 if you're happy for your pool to be shut down. And when you come to restart it again, that might take about 5 minutes. But if you're happy with that, go for the 5 minutes. That's ideal time. Otherwise, keep it slightly higher. Please don't disable it because your Spark pool will be up and running and you don't want to be paying for when you're not using it. So keep it as enabled and keep the value which is suitable. Here you can choose the Spark version. At the moment we got these versions. So the latest stable version available for us is 3.3, and that's what you're going to select. If you have any additional Spark configuration to be uploaded, then you can do that from here. You also have the opportunity to do that in your Spark session as well. But if you want to do it for all of the sessions from this Spark pool, you will do it here, and this section lets you allow session level packages, so I'll leave that as enable. Next we have intelligent cache. So if you are reading from a storage area less than 2, and if you want to keep your data in cache and you're going to be accessing it over and over again, then it makes total sense to keep it in cache. You enable cache and the data will be kept in the cache, but make sure that whatever percentage you're selecting here, you've got available storage within your pool. We can leave that as 0 for the cause. Let's click next to tags and then click through to review plus create. And the validation succeeded and everything looks as we expected. And let's click on create, and that should create this Spark pool. So it doesn't take much time. It takes about a minute. And here you need to bear in mind that it is not creating a cluster. All it's doing is creating Spark pool, which is basically just some metadata being registered. You're not going to be charged anything for creating a Spark pool. It's only when you run any sessions and you've got your clusters being up and running, that's the time you're going to be charged. So as you can see, the deployment's completed. It took less than 30 seconds. And let me go over to the Synapse Studio now. And if I click on refresh, you will see the pool here. So as you can see, we've got the Learn Spark pool that we created here. Let me now show you back to monitor the Spark pool. So in order to monitor Spark pool, you can come over to monitor and then you can click on the Apache Spark pools. You will see the pool here. As you can see here, there are no users being connected to the pool and there are no allocated because no allocated memory. What that means is you're not going to be charged anything because we have been allocated any nodes to our pool. So if you click on that, if you give you more information, we're not going to see much. But we'll come back to this later when we are running sessions. But as you can see here, there is nothing running. There is no history at all. So you've got no charges at the moment and then you have sessions running on this Spark pool. You can also monitor them from here under Activities. You'll see Apache Spark applications and you will see them here. I'll show you all of this when we are running sessions. But that's the end of this session. I'll see you in the next one.